Today on Real Estate on the Rocks, we're going to talk about the top 5 reasons realtors quit.
Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
And we are back in the studio this morning, and I've got James the Butcher Mendez with me. And
what's going on?
Not much. Our guy Marshall Tucker is out showing property.
Dang,
early in the morning. This guy's a workhorse.
Yep.
We can be certain he's not quitting. So today we're going to talk about top 5 reasons why realtors quit. They just give up. They walk away. There's a 80% failure rate. 8 out of 10 realtors quit in this business. I usually say fail. The conversations we have are served straight up, never watered down.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to really kind of sugarcoat this for anyone.
Nobody's quitting on the top of their game.
Right. And so, failure really shouldn't be an option, but we should all realize that, real estate seems to be a transient business. People come and then people go. And one of the most biggest questions that I get all the time when I run into friends and family around, or even ex-clients, just kind of like, hey, you still doing that real estate thing? And it's considered a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was an attorney, people were like, hey, you still doing that attorney thing? You still.
I think because they know how transient it is, or how people like come in and out of it so much.
That's just the public's perception that it's transient. And when you have that, I mean, you have it stacked against you, and especially when just your friends and family are asking you the same question over and over. Are you still doing that real estate thing?
Yeah.
And so, it's actually more than the thing, I mean, I've actually made a career out of it. It's like, oh, well, yeah. What's that look like though? I mean, I heard you guys work a lot, it's like, yeah, we do. But, I would say, let's go through the top 5 reasons we've identified, that realtors just quit, and a lot of it might not even be failure. It's just, they just quit. I mean, we consider it failure sometimes because, I mean, maybe that's our mindset on things. If I don't achieve something, I look at it as a failure. Yeah. And a lot of times a failure is a good thing. I mean, we all fail forward. I think that's the way to go in life. And failure teaches us a lot of experiences and shortcuts of what not to do anymore. Yeah. That's failure. But quitting is just, packing up and going to get a air quotes real job. I mean, I hear that all the time. I went and got a real job. It's like, I've been hearing that ever since I was in the bar business. Was my bartenders were like, oh, I went and got a real job. And I'm like, oh, cool. What are you doing? They're like, oh, I'm doing sales, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And it's just like, they're paying me $30,000. I was like, you were making $40,000 as a bartender. Yeah. You took a $10,000 pay cut, going to do, but it should snowball and lead into things. I agree that bartending sometimes is not forever. Yeah. And especially in once again, a transient town like Austin, Texas, a lot of people come here. We have 6th Street and all these entertainment districts where people come to bartend and then really just spend their years doing that and then move on into transition into other businesses throughout, Austin, or while they're going to school at University of Texas or one of the surrounding universities. So anyway, let's get into it real quick. Number 1 reason why realtors quit, they just quit. Wrong expectations. And so agents expect to make money immediately. They expect big paydays. They expect, that they put in roughly, 30 days of hard work and it's not paying off. 6 months of hard work and it's not paying off. And I think the expectations of this business, and I think really anything along the lines of any kind of company you start, anything, you have to at least give it 18 months. That's just shy of that 2-year mark. Everybody talks about if you can make it 2 years in real estate, you can make it. Yeah. In real estate, you can. There's no looking back after you hit 2 years. Yeah. And you get all the tough times out of your way, and you fulfill all those expectations that you set that you had. Now the expectations become a little bit more manageable, a little bit more doable. Yeah. What do you think about that?
We actually said it a couple episodes ago. We were talking about expectations and kind of coming into the business, how you guys said you thought that you'd get a ton of business just because of your vast network and then, owning businesses and everything you had going for you in this town. And then Marshall, his whole family, has been in the Georgetown for a couple generations. They have a business there. He knew a ton of people. And hearing that, and then I was like, well, I must have been crazy because I had literally none of that and jumped in thinking I'd be successful at that same level. And it's just, I think that that's a very common thing that everyone just jumps in and like, hey, people really like me. I have great conversations with people. I have all the fundamentals that, would lead you to believe that would come naturally to you and things would flow without fully understanding how the business functions and how to connect those dots. You know what I mean? That it's such a significant challenge compared to what you think it is from the beginning.
Yeah. And I would just, we've done plenty of episodes on goal settings and we've done plenty of episodes on expectations. Yeah. And I think that they get colluded a lot of times that you should really work on your goal setting and not expectations. Yeah. And your goal setting is what I believe is you're going to get that out of your head. You're going to put it on paper that you want to achieve, what you want to achieve within the first, 30, 60, 90 days coming into the business. Or I see people struggle all over across the board. I mean, I've known realtors and I've coached some that are in the business for 5 years. Some are in the business for 10 years. And then they come back and they've got this salty attitudes, and just like, why is this person doing this? And how is this person having all this success? And I'm still going through these, and I just still think at the 5 and 10 year mark, it's the false expectations of because you thought it was going to get easier. This career never gets easier. Yeah, you might get some low hanging fruit. There's a return business and the come list me's. However, it's not enough to adjust to the lifestyle. More than likely, you've adjusted to living. Yeah. After 3-4 years in the business, you've made a little bit more money. You might have bought a house. You bought some cars. You've got bigger expenses these days. Your business is growing. Maybe not to the extent it should. However, it's growing. It's costing more business. You've got office space. You have an assistant now that's a salary. You have all these things, and you just need to keep adding to it because as you add to it, your profit margins go down, right? And so then you've got the false expectations that it was going to get easier in 2 years. I never said that. No. I just said it gets more manageable in 2 years.
It's a big difference, though. Yeah. So big difference.
Yeah. Number two reason is thin skin. Yeah. Thin skin. The business runs rampant with thin skin folks out there. You know, and I'm sure that I can probably say some things in the next 2 minutes that would get people to tune out, say that I don't know what I'm talking about. They're different for some reason. They're entitled to their piss poor attitude because of whatever. Yeah. Zillow's taking things out of my pocket. Other realtors that are discounting their commissions are taking out of my pocket. Yeah. The whole business just whatever. And they get frustrated by the way other realtors talk to them. They get frustrated by the way title companies or lenders or whoever else don't respond to them or talk to them. Yeah. And they just have thin skin and they wear their feelings on their sleeve. What's the saying? I don't even know the saying. Yeah. But just kind of like the thin skin is a killer in this business. Yeah. And if you let people affect you all day long, you're not going to be able to grow your business to the extent you should. Yeah.
A lot of times it's not you that they're, well, not always, but a lot of times it's not really you that's the problem. There's something going on in their life or something's upsetting them. Like I told you this, remember the story for the duplex? The guy came in just like sandblasting me about scripts and just like went all in on me. And I was like, I don't even have a piece of paper in front of me. I'm not using a script. I was just talking to you because I know some people who are interested in duplexes and yours was for sale. You couldn't sell it. So I was just trying to get some information and, through a couple conversations or, messages back and forth, he calmed down. He's like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm just tired of hearing all this stuff from agents and, dealing with this stuff. I was like, dude, I get it. I'm just trying to do a lot of the same thing that they're doing. But I'm not trying to pitch you on anything. I'm just trying to, solve a problem. You clearly have one. And he calmed down. He was completely, better to talk to afterwards. Yeah. But you get a lot of those. You get people just flying off the hinges, and it cracks me up.
It's not only the clients. It's not potential clients. It's agents. I mean, this is a mentally and emotionally taxing business. So you never know what's going on in that realtor's life. And I like to think that I never snap on other realtors. However, I want to, and I get off the phone and I light some realtors up and just kind of like, oh god, this transaction is going to be fun. They brought us a great offer, whatever else, but they try to what I consider big league us right off the bat. And just like put their foot down, like they're going to be in control of this whole thing, whatever else. And it's just kind of like right when I fight back or stand my ground, they crumble. And then they take this crap attitude with me because they don't have thick skin. Like, we don't need to enter or really interject our egos in any way to a transaction. We're here for the clients, right? Yeah. And so we like that whole thing. Keller Williams, when I was with them, taught me this was that it's a win-win or no deal. Yeah. And really we approach everything like that. It's got to be a win-win on both sides. I tell that to my clients. A lot of times I talk to my clients and they're like, who are you representing, me or them? And I'm like, I'm representing you. However, they need to feel like they get a win also so we can get this transaction to the end of the thing. You can't win the whole thing. Yeah. And I like to think I'm a pretty powerful negotiator. Yeah. However, I know when to give to get. Yeah. And in the end, I can say that I feel good about almost every single transaction there is at the end, realizing that I got it to the closing table and that was my objective, the goal. You listed with me not because I was going to list the property. You listed with me because I was going to sell the property. I have a proven track record of selling property, and that's by giving a little to get a little. That's how it goes in sales. That's the biggest part of a sales position there is realizing that you give to get. Right. And we can't just strong arm the whole. And I see this amendments all the time. I start all the amendments after, say, like repair amendments come in. I start them all with the conversation that if it's anything other than a red flag item, a health and safety issue, we don't want to hear about it. Yeah. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to hear about dirty baseboards. We don't want to hear about, mucky windows or the things don't have screens or anything like that. That's the house was priced accordingly. And so we go back and forth. And when I tell them that, some people come unhinged. You don't get to tell me what I can write an amendment with. No, but I get to fucking reject it. Yeah. Sorry for the F-bomb, but it's just like I get a little bit passionate here sometimes. It's just kind of like, but I get to tell my client to stand their ground. Yeah. And so they're not willing to give, they're not going to get. And so it works the same on ours. And sometimes I'll evaluate the whole situation, and if it's calling for a professional to dust the ceiling fans, that's not going to happen. Yeah. I get all these things like all work must be performed by a licensed professional. Like, show me a licensed professional that dosts ceiling fans. Like, what are you talking about? Just ask for a cleaning. Yeah. And just sometimes
licensed and bonded house cleaner. Like, what? But I've told people like it's not all the details and negotiations win every single, counter or conversation. Your ultimate win is closing. That's the biggest thing you have to focus on. So if you can make it so it's beneficial on both sides and you still win by closing the deal, that's the most important piece.
Right. And it's all about solving it's all about the client. This isn't our deal. And so we can give our opinions and we can give our recommendations. That's what we're there for. We're there to solve the client's problems. Remember, we're professional problem solvers. And so a lot of times, I just keep thinking about deals keep popping into my head where I get these just kind of like, I get these agents on the other side of this thing, like basically just firing at me like they're taking control of everything. And we're going to do as they say. And we're lucky that they brought us a buyer. I'm like, I've never felt lucky that anybody brought me a buyer. I never felt lucky because the buyers they're everywhere. Yeah. And so buyers are the low hanging fruit of this business. Yeah. And so if you have a buyer for this property and you thought it was a great property, there's probably somebody else out there did. And if I was on the market for 5 or 6 days and we decided to go ahead and go with your offer, remember there's somebody else out there and we can tell you to take a hike if you're not nice. And a lot of times I've done that. Yeah. As I've given the recommendation, it's like, hey, look, I know this realtor. They have a reputation for being not so fun to work with or whatever else. And that can go in a multiple offer situation. That can go a lot of different ways. Yeah. So we were talking about thin skin. Realtors, I think the harder people push, the thinner skin they have. I think the bravado, I completely agree. The bravado is a telltale sign that person has very thin skin. And so sometimes I actually walk on eggshells just not to upset their ego, just to get the deal to go through and get that whole like give take thing. And we try to be as professional as possible. And when I have, the transaction coordinator reach out on our team, it's like, hey, it's like, a lot of times realtors don't like to work with transaction coordinators. Like, I want to just work with the realtor. It's like, man, hey, we're all busy in our own right. I'm not going to say that I'm any busier than you, but I can almost guarantee you that I'm fucking busier than you. So, you don't want to say that, but it's just kind of like
the arrogance of that drives me crazy. Like, I'm too good for them. It's like, are you out of your mind? Yeah. Oh yeah, stuff like that just drives me crazy.
So realtors really just have to realize that they are the punching bag of the industry also. You know, it's this goes with the thin skin. We're still in number 2. The punching bag of the industry, because you have the people when title hangs up the phone, they roll their eyes, you know.
Yeah.
When the lender hangs up the phone, you know, or something goes wrong, the realtor always gets blamed.
Yeah.
Right. They don't realize that nobody realizes the realtor was the one that put together the deal that might have found the buyer through their open house, and they're working with this, and they've kind of really started the whole transaction with the buyer, with the seller, and realizing that we're the ones that brought everybody together.
Yeah.
But when something goes awry, whether it's the lender or whatever else, and through the client size too, the realtor always takes the brunt of everything.
Yep.
You know, and so you have to have that thick skin to realize that you can work through all this stuff and not be upset. I see a lot of people not return phone calls anymore to their clients when their clients are pissed off. They just avoid them at all costs and just hope that it gets to the thing. And if not, they walk away. They shrug their shoulders and, well, it was, you know, I mean, I never had the money anyway, you know, and just, you know, I mean, that happens time after time again. And that's another reason why realtors quit.
Yeah.
Is that they just not mentally strong enough to continue on. Number 3 is money.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Huge.
Whether you lose money, you have no money, or not enough money. You know, you don't have enough money to generate leads. You know, you don't have enough money to go out and get open house signs, to get lock boxes, to pay for your own signs if your company doesn't provide them.
Yeah, there's a lot of upfront costs.
You have no startup money. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is people fire into this business, and a lot of times it takes all of our money up front. You know, I mean, the average, savings of a realtor coming in, I would love to know the number, but I can say that it's more than likely not much. And a lot of people leverage their credit cards. I always hear this is the way I just charged up my card, and it's a two-way street. We always hear about the success stories of I used my last $5,000 credit card to get started in this business, and I never looked back. And, that was the smartest thing I ever did. I wonder how many people out there that leverage if there's an 80% failure rate, leverage their last $5,000 credit card, and then they didn't make it. They didn't have the thick skin, and they set the wrong expectations coming into this business, and they lost that $5,000, and, they're out of the business rather quickly. We never hear about that story. We only hear about the success stories in this business. And
of course,
that's why I love this.
Gotta keep selling dream.
Right. I love this platform of the podcast, because we can talk about these things and help people realize that, a few things they need to be doing.
Yeah.
And some realtors might shut us off and like, oh, we don't know, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Man, trust me, I know what I'm talking about, because I had false expectations. I had no money. I had thin skin. So far, the top 3, I had all those.
Yeah.
And I battled against all of them by going out and seeking number 5, which I'll get to in a minute. Yeah. But the loss of money and not being that scarcity mindset almost. It's like, oh, a Facebook ad cost $20 to run. I ran one, it didn't work, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
That's everybody's answer.
It's
if I can say financially, what's the biggest thing? Like if you could set aside 2 years of income, I would 100%, tell somebody to go.
But who's doing that though?
Nobody. I mean, but if you had the option, wouldn't you have had 2 years set aside? That's just your living expenses. And like budget to have your business run for you survive for 2 years. You'd be in a significantly different place throughout that 2 years if you knew you didn't have to worry about survival. You could just focus on your business and have that taken care of.
Right, but once again, like 80-20 rule, 80% of realtors have no money saved.
I've seen countless posts on like, oh, should I just go all in? Quit my job? And I was like, what? Do what? So have no income and start a job where you have no income?
Yeah, I want to follow my dream.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's not your dream. It's 1,000% not your dream. I guarantee it.
If they knew the underlying side of this business, that it's not all champagne and
revert back to number 1.
Yeah, and so the wrong expectations is if I could help anybody out, it's think about cool down your expectations of what you think is going to happen, of how great of a person you are. A lot of times I would say ego gets in the way of that. That was my ego talking all the time. I was like, I'm going to kill it in this business. I've always been told I'm good at sales. Yeah. I've always been told I have the gift of gab. I've always been told all these great things that are qualifying, traits of a realtor, right? So I'm going to be good at it, right? Well, no, I wasn't. You know?
That and blind faith in yourself.
Right. And it's not that I am now. It's just that I've continued to learn. You know, I've continued to do the things and put myself out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I really press that upon you guys to do the same thing as my team. You know, it's we're always after something. You know, it's like you guys always are you know, we were talking yesterday during a meeting was you were, well, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do this? And it's just like, who cares? Let's just, you know, commit first and figure it out later. You know, and I got that from Cardone a few years ago was I was listening to that. It was like commit first and figure it out later. And I realized that's what I've done my whole life. Yeah. I mean, I committed to real estate first and then I figured it out.
Yep.
The only thing was, it was a very costly lesson. You know, I mean, to only make $4,000 and, you know, spending 10 times that that year, not necessarily in the business, but spending 10 times that to live and to you know, spending $40,000+ on my bills and all this other great stuff to keep me afloat in this business of chasing this wasn't my dream. Yeah. This was just I'm building a business. I'm building a career, you know, so chasing a dream and chasing a career are two different things. Yeah. I guess in my eyes, but, anyway, let's get on to number 4. Listening to bad advice.
There's so much.
Like this show. No, listening to bad advice from other realtors. Yeah. You know, a new realtor comes in, they're very impressionable. They get into the business. They more than likely go with a brokerage firm that was impressionable to them during the process of them getting their license. Maybe they were coming. I've touched on before that I chose the first brokerage because they brought great lunches. Yeah. You know, that probably wasn't the smartest reason to do.
I picked one because of the admin.
Right.
She was a good, like she was from California. We hit it off real well. She pitched it real well. And then the team lead followed up by, you know, telling me everything I needed to know. And it sounded amazing.
Right. Because it is amazing. Yeah. Maybe at the point where he was at and he's explaining it, you know, I mean, he's giving, that's once again his advice. His advice was to, you know, do this, come in, if you're passionate about real estate, do all these things and we'll buckle down and we'll lead generate. I'll teach you all these things. Right. But by the time you got in, more than likely he wasn't around to help you with all those things.
Yeah. Everybody's busy doing their own thing. They can't just dedicate their entire life to every single agent, you know, coming in. It's just not realistic.
Right. But the water cooler talk is what I'm talking about. You know, like the listening to bad advice. You go in to get a cup of coffee and you just kind of, you've got that spirit of a new realtor. You want to, hey, I want to try this out. I'm going to do this. And other realtors tell you, well, that doesn't work in our area. Yeah. You know, that doesn't do this. That works in Fred's area. You know, and just that works over here for this person, not us over here. And just I realized that was a crock of shit the whole time. You know, just like that wasn't.
I don't do this or I don't do that.
Yeah, that's what they do. They do because most of the people hanging out in the office. Sorry if you're one of those ones that hang out in the office, but I'm about to be just brutally honest with you. Is that nobody's buying anything from you in the office. If you're not in there working on your marketing and keeping your head down and keeping your opinions to yourself and staying focused on your goals to fulfill your expectations, you're full of it, you know? And if you're offering advice to other agents of what not to do, I think you're full of it, you know? And I think anybody that listens to advice from salty realtors, that if they sit around the office and they talk about how iBuyers or disruptors or Keller Williams or EXP or anything else is taking business away and lowering the standards of real estate, they're all full of it. You know, those are people that don't have very thick skin. Yeah. You know, and you need to really kind of get out there and do the things that you need to be doing. However, you might not know what to do. Yeah. Right. And so that's one thing. Go back and listen to these podcasts. We tell you how to get into action as much as possible. Take as much education in as you can. And that's number 5 for us is lack of education. Yep. Lack of education. Lack of your willingness to learn. Your ego telling you that you don't need to learn. You might not know that you need to continue your education in this business. You know, you might not realize that you need to continue to raise your IQ in this business and know about, so simple marketing tactics, the outcomes of open houses, how you can have a more effective open house, taking advice from realtors that were actually out doing it versus the realtors that are in the office at the water cooler or the coffee station, drinking coffee and telling you what not to do. Yeah. You know, and you think that you're being smart. Well, okay, well, Dave said to not do this. So, you know, I should probably not do it. Dave seems somewhat successful. He drives a nice car. He's got this going on. He's got some awards in his thing. You know, I mean, you know, he's got some shit on, goofy crap on the walls that says he's a great realtor, so I should listen to him, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Depends on your style of business. Like some people do really well with open houses. They love open houses. That's where they, and they door knock around it. Some people don't like to door knock or refuse to door knock, or don't do open houses. They only do, one avenue of business or only sphere or only this. So sure, if they're killing it in one area, take their advice on that one. And then other people's advice on that one. And just, kind of survey the people, look around and talk to different agents, and don't base everything on one exact person. And online education and different, classes, I found out the hard way. Don't just go off the name of it. Like I'm taking a marketing 1 class, which is awesome in name, but it's build your business and has stuff about VA loans and all kinds of other stuff. So I've learned that when you go to do further education, make sure you understand what exactly the classes are, so you don't go off in the wrong direction.
Right.
But there's so many free events. Your MLSs offer great training. Lenders offer stuff. Title companies offer stuff. You can get a ton of education and pay nothing for it.
Right, but it's got to be the strategic education, because a lot of those are just
not
fluff.
just anything.
To me, like some of the title company stuff, they put some really good classes. But now after 7-8 years in the business, now I can kind of tell just in the title or what it is, or maybe even who's teaching it, that whether it be worthy to go to or not.
Yeah,
and then you can see if it's marketing 101. And just, I don't need to go to that class.
Yeah.
Could I learn something from it? Maybe a tidbit or two.
Maybe.
Could I teach it? Of course.
Yeah.
And so I have a marketing background, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of time I see like social media, blah, 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 getting started with social media, and someone signs me up for it. I'm like, I don't need to go get started with social media.
I attended one. Oh,
it's painful.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was going to be a little higher level. I mean, I understood the getting started. I didn't think they were going to be talking about setting up accounts and how the platform actually works. I thought they were going to be like actually, engaging in tips and, ideas of best way to get engagement and grow engagement and things like that.
Right.
That's not what that was.
Right. And then there's a lot of realtors that might need it, because I do look at the classes afterwards that they're full, and it might be a different age demographic or whatever else that are attending the classes, you know? And so I feel that they serve a need, they serve a purpose. However, it's just not for me. So you have to pick and choose what would be more beneficial for you to take. Right.
Yeah.
And so
completely agree.
When I talk about education, I'm talking, free. YouTube has everything. You can listen to anything out there, podcasts, all this stuff. If you listen to 30 minutes of a podcast every morning, if you land on one that you really like, whether it's Real Estate on the Rocks podcast, or it's the Lab Coat Agents podcast, or Dustin Brome's Massive Agent podcast, or I can name a few of them. Real Estate Uncensored. There's some really good podcasts out there that give you the insight of the way that they feel that these realtors, most of them are realtors that have a proven track record, have built their businesses.
That's important.
I would much rather listen to those guys than I would, anybody around the office that's teaching, open houses or whatever else. So that's just my take on it. So now I've been to some open house stuff that's blown my mind.
Yeah.
However, I've found most of my cool open house stuff online from people like Kyle Whistle and Brian Cosi put out great content about open houses, open bar, open house. We just basically R&D, rip off and duplicate everything that they do, and it works for us. And who knows if they were the originators of that content. More than likely, they pulled some of that content from people that had proven track records in the past and put it all together and put it out there. Kind of like the Bold program, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Keller Williams hang their hat on that. Oh, that's from Bold. I'm like, no, that's from,
tons of different people all brought into one. Because I was listening to that
that's
my
from
first
Earl
time.
Nightingale,
Yeah, I was like, that's not an original thing. They're like, yeah, of course it's not an original one. They just brought everything together and crafted a course around these great pieces of content. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. I do think Bold program is a good one to take for a Keller Williams agent to take it once. We've known people that take it 13, 14 times.
Yeah.
But it's education. It's continue to learn. It's picking up on something that you might have missed. If you need a filler, if you need some motivation, that's another thing, is that motivation's an inside job. Motivation's fleeting. It comes and goes, right? It's got its ebbs and flows. We get really motivated when things are clicking for us and we're working hard, and then the motivation dies a little bit right after we get paid. It's like, because we're less motivated to work and more motivated to go spend all that money and incorporate all these new parts to our business that cost money. And I go back and I look at our P&L. I'm like, where did I ever decide to take $1,500 a month and start doing this, And I put it into 12-month spans. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
That's $18,000 a year I'm spending on this lead generation model that's not really paying $18,000, but at the time I had the money and I thought it would make things easier.
Yeah.
And the whole time that I was busting my hump to lead generate and go into open houses and doing open houses and crushing the phone for FSBOs and withdrawals and everything else. The whole time I'm thinking, man, as soon as I'm able to get these paydays, I'm going to take that money and reinvest it back in my business. And reinvesting back in my business was to buy systems out there that were deemed, like lead generation stuff, like a Boomtown or a FirePoint or whatever else. And those have a place in the business. I think they can work. However, I don't know if that was the best use of our money on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
They did account for some leads. However, I wasn't getting the results from that I was from doing the things that I didn't want to do when I didn't want to do them at a high level, which was calling FSBOs, calling expireds, working open houses, the actual labor of this career. And I started relying more on the easy button, and that's what those CRMs, the lead generation CRMs, that's what they provide. Is they want you to believe that this is the easy button, and every realtor's looking for the easy button. Trust me, I still am. But I realized that the biggest easy button is just to do the work. Like that becomes the easiest thing, is to get out there and do the work and set the expectations that if I don't do this work, that I can't meet my goals, and my expectations and my goals work hand in hand with each other. I got the motivation that fleets also. I just went to Disney. In 3 days, I walked 34 miles in 3 days, and that's not BS. I'm going to post it on as soon as I got time, I have some time, I'm going to take some screenshots and show that I walked 34 miles in 3 days at Disney. That is insane.
That's pretty good.
I was not motivated to come back in here. I'm not motivated. I wasn't motivated to sit down in this chair and do the podcast this morning, but I know that we have to, because, we made a commitment to do the podcast and put it out there for our listeners and build our audience and build our crowd and help as many realtors as we can, succeed in this business. Like I can't stand the fact that 80% fail or 80% quit. That absolutely sucks, and I just think that if you go through life quitting everything that you're not successful within the first 30, 60, 90 days or a year. I mean, some people aren't cut out for the business. I get it.
Yeah.
They think they are. Yeah. They think they are. But I mean, you would think that number wouldn't be 80%.
I mean, I had heard it a lot, and I remember when we were first talking about the podcast and going through the numbers, make sure, to make sure we're not just saying hyped up numbers and stuff. We were really going and we looked at
it's legit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from, you just hear things and a lot of people embellish a lot on stories. And so when we were looking at it and talking about, making sure we have good numbers, looking at the real details and substance of what people go through when we're first starting this podcast, and it was just still eye-opening to look and see that it's that high. It statistically is that high, and it continues. And it's not like a new phenomenon that it's just recently happening. Right.
I was just going to touch on that. A lot of people think, well, now that Zillow's doing this, or now that there's iBuyers, or now that there's Open Door and all these other companies, or there's this person over here that's discounting their commission. Yeah. It's just kind of like the failure rate's been 8 out of 10, 80% for years since the business has been around. Yeah. And I'm sure other years it's actually gone up. I don't think it's ever broke under 80%. It's actually gone up. Crazy. And so these days I see it because I think realtors are lingering around thinking something's going to happen, but they're still not getting into action doing the things. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that I see, is that they still have no goals. They're still unclear where they're going. They're just waiting around for their next, the next low-hanging fruit deal. If they run into somebody or a friend or a family that keeps them afloat for a little bit longer, and they think that that's going to get easier, where they're hinging all their bets on buying leads from, say, somebody like Zillow. Or Redfin leads, or Realtor.com leads, or I don't know if Redfin does leads anymore, but they're hinging their bets on all that, all their bets on that. So I just don't know. I don't talk to enough realtors right now or pay attention enough. However, I do see it still in the space of the fail out rate. So it's a horrible thing. We've had plenty of agents that we've recruited onto the team that we give them a clear path to success. Yeah, a clear path. This is what you have to do to gain a little bit of success, to make a little bit of money. And that's what success is. Whose definition of success is just money? Yeah. I mean, mine wasn't just money. My definition of success, but it's kind of like you have to gauge everybody's expectations. And we have people coming in that thought that joining a team was just a turnkey operation, or it wasn't a turnkey operation, that it was just going to be like, we just throw them leads that are well qualified and ready to go and just open doors. And that's all they were doing. They were going to be a glorified key and all of a sudden make, thousands of dollars doing that.
Yeah.
No, there's still hard work involved.
Yeah.
There's hard work involved at every turn in this business.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people make it look a lot easier than it is. Some people, the way they put it out there on social media, which I've jumped on a few times, and I'm probably guilty of doing it, is to make it look like our careers are a little bit easier and things just come to us freely, and with zero effort.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, we bust our butt to get what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, if we haven't busted our butts, we've paid for it dearly financially, and to where we've learned our lesson. And I can't tell you how many countless dollars I've just pissed away, is the only way I can explain that, is pissed away on systems that I thought were going to be a lot easier for me. We're just going to just attract more business and coming in and
convert.
Here we go, guys. We're going to spend, this system's got to be great. It's $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
And so I go out there and I start spending $2,500 a month, and 3 months later, cricket. And then I talk to the provider that's giving me the $2,500 a month service and say, hey, it's a long-term game. You at least got to give it 18 months. 18 to 24 months is what you're looking at. And it's like, and I started thinking, I'm like, of course somebody would tell me that. I would want them latched in for 2 years at $2,500 a month. That's insane.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking back and I'm like, look, there's no easy button. Pull the plug on this as fast as possible.
Yep.
Oh, we signed a year contract. See what a buyout is. I'd rather pay the $7,000 up front than pay the full price for 2 years or whatever it is. Jump us out of this real quick. And it was when I finally realized that and stopped with the easy button stuff, is that we started moving the ball down the line a little bit better. So anyway, so those are the things real quick. In summary, clear expectations. Don't have a lot of expectations. Set your goals. Remember that you need thick skin. Don't have thin skin. If you need to have your 5-minute funeral, I always talk about. You get pissed off. You get it going for 5 minutes. You complain, get it off your back, and then just get going again. 5 minutes, it's over and done. Be like a duck with water on your back. Anyway, money. Become a little bit more financially intelligent. If you don't have any money, take up the lead generation.
Tools and just
whatever,
actions that best suit you and least costly.
Open houses, calling for sale by owners, withdrawals, things like that. If you need those kind of scripts, you can text us over at Top Shelf to 88000, and we can send you some scripts on how to talk to FSBOs, how to talk to withdrawals, and what to say at open houses. It's relatively easy. You just have to get out there and do it. Number 4 on that was listening to bad advice. Like I said, some people might think that we're giving bad advice. That's fine. That's fine. Our advice isn't for everyone. Our advice is what's worked for us. And I would say that after a few years of doing the things that we do now versus the things that we used to do that we tell people not to do anymore was the game changer in this business.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then lastly is continue your education in every part possible. Wake up every morning, get up 30 minutes to an hour early, take in a YouTube video, put in real estate, put in something, a topic that you're interested in, put that in there and learn. And keep watching the videos, keep listening to podcasts, keep reading books, put Audible on your phone, and just ask out there in Facebook world, if you're in any type of real estate forum, like what books are you reading? What books have changed your career? What books have changed your mind on lead generation tactics or whatever else? And people will offer up their opinion of their books. I always take screenshots of my Audible and say, hey, these are the books that worked for me.
Yep.
These are the books that I continue to listen to. There's books that I have still that I listen to over and over again. Mm-hmm. That as soon as they're done, I listen to it again. And so that's that in a nutshell. Top 5 reasons realtors quit, and why we've just given you some reasons why you shouldn't quit, why you should stay at this. So anyway, thanks for listening today. If you need to get a hold of us, you can reach us at TopShelf at 88000. If you are EXP curious, we are EXP agents. We are day-to-day realtors. We go out every day. We work with buyers. We work with sellers. We can tell you our experiences in this stuff have been really, it's been a tough learning curve for us as well. So you're not alone in this. But if you want to know more about EXP, you can reach us at join EXP at 88000. Time to pay some bills. Mike Harrell with Guaranteed Rate is our man over there. He lends. He's our lending ninja. But you can reach him at Magic Mike at 88000. As you can tell, every way you want to get in touch with us is 88000. So thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next time.